Welcome everybody, Dr. Tom Walters here from Rehab Science. I want to talk to you today about rotator cuff pain. This is one that I get a lot of questions on, and it's one that we see commonly in the clinic. So the rotator cuff is made up of four muscles. We have supraspinatus, which runs sort of here on the top. It's underneath our trapezius muscle, so you can't actually touch it. But it runs through, and its tendon goes underneath this bone here on the top of your shoulder, and then it attaches out here. And then we have two muscles on the back, infraspinatus and teres minor. And then on the front side of the shoulder blade where you can't touch is a muscle called subscapularis. So your rotator cuff is four muscles. When people have rotator cuff pain, often this is diagnosed as rotator cuff tendinopathy or tendonitis, or it used to be called shoulder impingement. So if you hear that diagnosis, it still floats around from time to time. Those types of pain often hurt people out here on the side of the shoulder. Sometimes it can even refer down the arm, and it typically hurts with things like reaching overhead, sleeping on that shoulder. Sometimes people say they're driving with that arm, it will hurt them. Maybe getting something out of a shelf up high, or out of the top shelf, from the top shelf of the fridge. Those are all activities that commonly hurt people. And when we look at the four rotator cuff muscles, the one that's most commonly involved is supraspinatus. It's that one up on top, and it's the one where its tendon runs underneath this bone. And the reason it was called impingement syndrome is we thought before that when somebody would reach up, that the ball of the ball and socket would sort of slide up and impinge or pinch on that tendon. As it turns out, most people have impingement, only some people get pain, so we don't really call it that anymore. A more appropriate name now is subacromial pain syndrome. So it just means pain underneath this bone, the acromion, so subacromial pain. Now, all that being said, the exercises haven't changed much for it, and there's a number of rotator cuff exercises out there, and there have been studies on this to look at which of those exercises are best at activating the supraspinatus muscle. And really one of the most important ones, if you're going to do any exercise for rotator cuff issues and shoulder pain that's on the side of the shoulder, really the most important exercise you can do is something called shoulder external rotation. I'm going to show one variation of it here today, but there are other versions you can do standing with a band, maybe if you're able to go to the gym, a cable machine. But if you have a dumbbell at home, or even a heavy water bottle that's filled up, you can use something like that to train your rotator cuff at home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an exercise where I'm going to lay on my side. The arm that's injured will be on top, and then I'm going to show you how to use the dumbbell. Usually a dumbbell that's maybe 2 to 5 pounds is great. I just have a 10-pounder, so it's a little heavy. The thing to know with this is that it's okay to have mild to moderate discomfort while you're doing the exercise, as long as it's not worse by the next day. If it's worse the next day and the pain flares up, then the weight is too heavy or you did too many reps. And typically with this, we'll shoot for 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, and we might do it 3 times a week. So just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. So there are different types of exercises, movements, ways we'll use this exercise. If your pain is really severe, we often start with isometric exercises, where basically you're making the muscle work but you're not moving. So I'll show you here. If I was laying on my side and working my right arm, I could take this weight. I'm going to position my arm so that it's right here on my side. I want my elbow to be at a 90-degree bend. Okay, so kind of like that. My start position is going to be down here by my stomach. I can kind of rest my head, and then my end position will be up here at the top. That's the maximum of external rotation I have. So I'm just going to be going through a motion like this with that weight. Now, if I have really severe pain, then like I said, you might just do an isometric. I might just take that weight and just hold it in one spot and not move. And there's research showing that holding this for 30 to 45 seconds and maybe doing 4 to 5 reps like that can actually help reduce pain. So that's the first stage you'd start with. If I have severe pain, I could take my other hand even, and I could put my injured arm up like this and then pass the weight to that arm, and then I can just hold there for 30 to 45 seconds. And like I said, I've got a 10-pound dumbbell. It's really probably too heavy for most people. Okay, so that's the isometric contraction. My other arm can help pass it there. Once we get past the isometrics, we can do an eccentric contraction. So in this full movement, the upward portion is the concentric contraction, and the down part is the eccentric contraction. We only want to do the down part. So what I could do is take that arm, put it up at the top. I'm going to pass the weight over with my other arm, and then I'm just going to slowly do the eccentric, a real slow contraction over 3 to 4 seconds. Set it down, reset, take this arm, pass it up there, and again, slowly lower it down. And the research on this has shown that 3 sets of 15 repetitions of an eccentric contraction like that can be really helpful for tendon issues. Now, the ultimate goal when things get better is to get back to doing the full movement. So when you get to that point, again, your symptoms aren't too severe. You'd start down here, take that weight, keep your elbow at your side and your elbow at 90 degrees. Start here and go all the way up through the full range and then down slowly. That's 1 repetition. And then back up and down slowly. That's a full repetition, just 1 more time, all the way up and back down slowly. If you can do that full movement, the same idea, you're shooting for 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, doing them nice and slow, and usually a day off in between the days that you work it. So 3 days a week is not a bad way to start. So work maybe one day, Monday you work the rotator cuff, take Tuesday off, and then work it again Wednesday, and progress like that. So again, that movement is called external rotation. It's probably the best one you can do for training your rotator cuff when you're having lateral shoulder pain. So if you're stuck at home and having that issue, give this exercise a try. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, talk to you next time.